Mama Tammy. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing well. I just want to let you know that I'm so excited that you decided to come on tonight and do this interview. This is a recorded call, and so we're just going to go ahead and get right into it. So, if we can just start by, I just start by introducing yourself to the viewers. You can just tell us your name and what it is that you're passionate about.
My name is Tammy Danford, and what am I passionate about? Family.
Family. That's awesome. So I'm just going to go ahead and go to our messages. It's been a little while since we've had an opportunity to actually talk, just verbally speak. I've seen you a lot on social media, and I can just start by saying that I am so proud of you, and you're an inspiration to me. And I am just grateful to still have this connection and relationship with you, despite all that has happened. And so, with that being said, I'm just going to ask, how are you? How are you currently? I know when I was still on Facebook, now I'm on a Facebook hiatus. I'm still using Instagram, but when I was still on Facebook, it seemed like you were doing fine. It seemed like you were trying to remain positive. But that's surface level. It doesn't really give us an opportunity to kind of speak to you directly. So how are you currently? How are you doing?
Good. Mostly. Some days are really easy, and some days are super hard. But overall, I feel like I'm doing pretty well.
Okay.
I've been, really lucky to have a very good support system, and not everybody has that. You know, so I'm very grateful that I have a family that I can call whenever. I have friends such as yourself and your mother, and some of Mariah's other friends that have stayed in contact, which is super important. I think people don't realize my biggest fear is she'll be forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah, and for those of us who know Mariah, you could never forget her. I was actually just thinking of this when I was driving in my car, that she was just such a light to everybody that she encountered. I remember when I first met her, I was just a small little girl. I believe we moved to Madison around the same time. Either you guys moved right after us or right before us. But
I think we were right after you, because you guys were there already.
Yep, so we had just gotten there, and I was only about 9 or 10 years old, and Mariah was...
She was about the same?
Yep, around the same age. And I walked down the street, because I didn't have any friends yet. She was actually the first friend that I made in Indiana, and we just kind of grew into just a closer friendship over the years. But when I walked down the street to meet her, she was actually... It seemed like to me she was playing with rocks. But when I asked her what she was doing, she kind of was like, I'm not playing with them. I collect them. And so I was like, oh, I'm sorry. Because it just, I never saw anybody playing with rocks, but or even collecting them. But that was our first conversation starter. And our relationship just kind of built off of that. And then Jacob, who's your younger son, who's her little brother, he began to have a relationship or friendship with my younger brother. And we just kind of all grew up together. So as far as forgetting her, I don't believe Mariah could ever be forgotten. Not in the hearts of those who know her. So with that being said, I want to ask you, we know that her life was taken by way of gun violence. And the last that I was aware of is that we don't know, or the person has not been found that was responsible for that. Is that still true?
That is incorrect.
Okay, go ahead.
There was... Take me a minute, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It was her boyfriend that she was seeing at the time. She was trying to get away from him. He was abusive and into a lot of illegal things that we didn't know a lot of until after she was gone. Like, we knew a little bit of the things he was doing, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So because he was in these activities, he was around people who were losing their life. And it just so happened one of the person was his best friend that he grew up with. So at the time he was in jail, he asked Mariah to go to the funeral. She did not want to go. She was very uncomfortable. I offered to go with her, and she just kept saying that she had to go because he wanted her to represent him and his family, which I get to a point, but he had other family I felt like could have stepped in and done that if she was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
There was an argument because somebody had purchased t-shirts with her boyfriend's friend who had passed with his like picture and, you know, like rest in peace and that kind of thing. And she was speaking to them about the t-shirts that she had paid for them, and they got in an argument about it. So the brother went home. The brother to the one that had passed went home, got his brother, did some drugs, broke into her home, and shot her.
Wow.
Over an argument of a t-shirt.
Wow. So have the authorities found this person, and is he now serving time for what he's done?
They found him and his brother.
Mm-hmm.
His brother and this is all just my understanding from different stories the police have given us over different times.
Okay.
I cannot say it's 100% true. This is my opinion and nobody else's.
Okay.
But I do not feel like the Lake County Police was very forthcoming with information. And some of the things that they said just flat weren't true. I found out later, and some were. So this is based on my opinion and what I got from them.
Collective data. So there was a time that we were still waiting for justice to be served. So how long did it take? Did it take a few months or a few years?
She passed October of 2017.
Yeah. Take your time.
Her birthday of February 2018, they apprehended him. One. The other brother was killed when he fled to Georgia. We don't know how or why. We don't know the situation. We just know that his younger brother was killed in Georgia. And he is currently in Lake County awaiting charges. He's never been charged with Mariah's murder, but he's in for 2 other previous murders. What I was told by the detective in charge was he was picked up for a charge for somebody else's life he had taken over an argument over a video game. And while they were questioning him, he started talking about Mariah's situation and talked about everything but pulling the trigger. But to this day, he has never been charged with any of the murders formally yet. And I don't think he'll ever be charged for her.
Well,
That's
maybe.
just how I feel.
Yeah.
But the detective that was in charge of her case retired a year and a half ago. He never let me know. So when I call to check in, I just get passed around quite a bit. I'm not saying that they're not good police officers, because they are. I just happened to get some that were in her case that just didn't care.
Yeah.
And pretty much told me that.
Yeah. So
what I can say to people as a mom is pray hard. Every day.
And we just pray for healing even for you even now, because even you coming forth and doing this interview, I know that it brings back some of those emotions, and it's difficult because with the child, and I've had this said to me before, and as you know, I have 4 children, but I have 2 older ones and 2 younger ones, and someone has said a replacement child. But in my thought, and I won't even go deep into that conversation, you can never replace a child. It doesn't matter if you have another child that even looks identical to that child. You can never replace that actual child. And so,
no, never.
Never. And so Mariah can never be replaced, but what we can do as a community is that we can gather around you and support you the best that we can. Mariah, it's very unfortunate that yeah.
I don't want people to think she was perfect. None of us are. She was very loud. She was very opinionated.
She
was also very loving and very loyal.
She was extremely loyal. She was one of my most loyal friends, and she was loud. Yeah, and very truthful. She would tell you the truth, and she was not scared.
Might hurt your feelings.
Might hurt your feelings.
Tell you the truth.
But she would tell you the truth. But she was a very bold person, and very honest and very strong. And so I know that those are all qualities that you and her father imparted in her. And I'm just grateful to have had that opportunity to meet her. As far as the people that were responsible for what happened with her life, we know that God has the final say on everything. And I just had to say this to some young people actually a few weeks ago, because they were kind of upset about some other things that were going on with the justice system. And, I just have to reiterate that even though people may think that they get away with things in this lifetime, we all have to see God, and we all have to answer to Him for all of the things that we have done. And so, even if that person, God is going to have the final say when it comes down to that. Mariah's life was taken. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay.
Is one thing that has carried me through from the time I got the call until today.
Yeah.
My husband, and I hate to say it, is really angry with God, and that's something he has to work through. Yep. I turned towards him more.
Yep. And you know what? And I kind of wanted to talk to that a little bit, because there are some people that become extremely angry with God when they lose a loved one, even going into atheism and not wanting to pursue a relationship with God at all, because they feel like, how could you let this terrible thing happen to me?
Right.
And taken away from my child.
And I get that. I totally understand where he's coming from.
Yeah. And
where other people are. All I can speak for is myself, and I'm so thankful that I have my God to carry me.
Yeah.
That was where I turned. That's what I needed. Even when I couldn't say the words, he knew.
Yeah.
And for me, faith is everything. Am I perfect? No. Do I screw up all the time? Absolutely. I try my best every day.
All of us, yep.
I try to be a good person. I try not to get angry. I have very, very short temper and little patience, and I work on that daily. But, I thank God that he's here, because I don't think I could have made it without him. Yeah. I honestly believe I wouldn't be here without his grace and love.
Yep. Yep. And that, yep. that's yep, because it's so accurate. Because it's either, and then for me too, when you go into, I don't have the experience of losing a child. And so I can never say that I completely understand, but I do know some people that have. I know some people have used different coping mechanisms, as far as maybe having pictures up to keep the memory there. Some people can't handle the pictures. Some people do posts on Facebook. They post often about the child so that it can help them to grieve in their grieving process. That's something that I saw that you were doing. It's like on certain holidays, on her birthdays, you would post the post to her page, and you would say, "Hey, do," and you would.
We always celebrate her birthday. Yep. Always. For me, it was very cathartic to speak to her on her Facebook page. A good friend of mine had lost her son to suicide a year before Mariah. Mm-hmm. And she gave me a journal and talked to me about her experience and things that helped her, which I was grateful for. They didn't necessarily work for me.
Okay.
She said just write down, even if it's one word a day, and that helped her work through her issues. I couldn't do it, and I love to write things down to just get some of the stuff out. I'm not very good at verbally speaking to friends, even my closest friends, about how I feel, and being vulnerable to other people. It's really hard for me. So writing as I grew was a thing that would help me, just get my emotions out. I could not do it. for me, it was writing to her on her page. That's what, and I didn't do it because I wanted people to read it. I didn't do it because I wanted sympathy. I didn't do it because I wanted people to go, oh, poor you, or what can I do for you? It was me speaking to her.
Yeah.
And that's what, to this day, helps me. I still send her stuff.
Yep.
I try to, I feel like, this is so hard. I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. Go ahead.
First happened, we all got together at my mom's house. Your family comes in. My family came in from all over the United States, which was great. And I was driving to my mom's, crying. And I heard her, and you know how loud she was. God love her. She had a booming voice and a tiny little body.
Yeah.
And she just went, Ma, stop your crying. I'm okay.
Wow. Yep. That's her. I can definitely, when you said that, I heard that in her voice, because that's exactly how she would speak. Yep.
And it was always Ma. It was never Ma or Mom or, it was Ma. Yeah. Ma, stop that crying. I'm okay. I'm okay. And I felt such peace.
Yep.
Was it still hard? Yes. But God allowed her to let me know. She was home.
Yep, she's with him, and she's in a better place now.
Yes.
One of the things that... Go ahead. I'll let you talk.
I feel like, as horrible as it is for us, her family, her friends, whoever, she lived out the story God had written for her, and it was done.
Yeah.
It's not the ending we would have liked.
No.
And I for sure would love her here. But for whatever his reason is, it was time for her to go home. And I hold on to that. Because she's good. I know she's good. She told me. And I guess the other thing I would like to say is, the first year, you're going to be in a funk, and you're going to think that you're doing well, and you're going to think that you're moving through life and going to work, going to school, taking care of your family. Just getting out of bed is heroic some days. And you'll go through all these things, and when you look back after that first year, you're going to realize you didn't know anything. You were in a complete fog. It was really hard.
Yeah.
But that's okay. That's what it's supposed to be. For me, for the first year, sounds were very overwhelming.
Okay.
They seemed very, very loud, like just normal things. And I couldn't do normal things that I loved. I love to read. It's like breathing to me. I'll read the back of a toilet paper wrapper. I don't care. I couldn't read for the first 3 years.
Wow.
We're coming up on 4 this year, and I've just started picking up a book again. I couldn't focus. For me, the second year was the hardest because I couldn't pretend she was on vacation anymore.
Yeah.
I've joined Christian support groups. I outgrew one of them, I would say, within the first year. I questioned myself about that and then realized that we have to grow and move on. These people helped me when I desperately needed help. And I did it a lot over online. I'm not good at sitting face-to-face with people and talking to them about my innermost feelings, but that worked for me. And if a group works for you, then please go and do it. Don't be ashamed. You can talk to your family and your friends all you want, and sometimes you just have to talk to somebody you don't know.
Yeah.
And when people say they're in a better place, or it happened for a reason, or it made me feel bad. I know how it makes other people feel, and I know a lot of times people don't know what to say to you. Just say, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because you can't bring them back. And I think we're conditioned to say, they're in a better place. They went home. It's going to be okay. It's never going to be okay.
Yeah.
Your life will go on, and when I say what works for me and my family, my mom and my aunt who lost my cousin, we say we learn to live differently. You're never going to get over it. You're not going to get past it, because I can't tell you how many people have said to me, well, it's been 3 years, you should just get over it right now. I didn't lose a car part. I lost a child.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get over it. But I also feel like you, and this is again just my opinion, you can't be selfish enough to live in grief forever. I have other children and grandchildren and family. If I don't ever move on, I'm hurting them more. And it's not that I moved on for them, but I have to be okay. And I'm not saying that I don't still grieve. I do. I probably will for the rest of my life, but you can't live only in grief. And don't feel bad if you're happy. She would not want me to be sad forever, or to never find joy in the things that I did before. Nature, flowers. I love gardening. I so enjoy my grandchildren. Don't feel bad. And that was really hard the first year or two to kind of come to grips with it. It's okay to be happy, and it's okay to go to a family party and laugh and enjoy yourself. You know, it's just, it's where you learn to live different. And don't be guilty about those things. Just be the best new you can be. And some days I can't get out of bed. It's so heavy.
Yep.
And I just, wake up praying, go to bed praying, pray throughout the day. That, for me, is my comfort and what gets me through. And to know that it's okay if I just got up and got dressed and brushed my teeth today and didn't do anything more. Do I like to see my house a mess? No, it makes me crazy. Yeah. I also have to remember we have 3 dogs and 2 small children here.
So it can be stressful. And a lot of people don't know, too, when you're going through depression or anxiety or a lot of pressure, it's hard. Some daily tasks are difficult. You posted a post while I was still on Facebook, and I shared it with my sister. But it said, cleaning your house while your children are still young is like going outside and shoveling while it's still snowing. And that was really accurate. That's so accurate. And so given the amount of pressure and stress you were under, so I'll share this now. I've never shared this. This is my first time publicly speaking about this, but there was a season in my life that I was separated from my oldest 2 children as well. They were with their father, but during that time, I cried every single day. They were still alive, but they weren't with me. And though I had 2 younger children, I just couldn't. I don't know. It was hard for me to explain. And not only was I sad, I was explosive. I was angry. And the way, what helped me is family. So when you mentioned having family to be there, when Mariah was still here, oh God, when she was still here, I was struggling very bad. And I loved God, but I was in a bad place. And I used to call her. I say, Mariah, she was driving at the time, and she always had other commitments, so she couldn't, but we always still had a very, very strong relationship. But during that time, I remember I came out there, and this is what kind of friend she was. I want people to know she'll never be forgotten. I'm actually thinking of a foundation that we can start to just make sure all of the proceeds go to you. On her behalf, I had got stranded in whatever city you stay in. We won't announce that because it's nobody's business. But I got stranded there, and I was out there actually on a job assignment. And I didn't think of anybody that I could call but Mariah. And I called her. And when I called her, she was like, okay, hold on a second, I got you. And she called you. And she's like, I'm going to have my mom to come and get you. And when you came, you just looked so confused. You were just like, what is going on? What has she gotten me into? And I ended up still being late for work. And that's another reason, too. Some people think that I don't take work seriously. But one thing that I have learned, I do believe in going to work. I do believe in taking care of, your job responsibilities. But one thing that I've noticed about employment is that even though you work for another establishment, they're not going to care about your personal situation more than you. And so even though I was late that day, it seemed like the end of the world. I really could have, now that I'm looking back, I really could have just chilled, because establishments will get rid of you at the drop of a dime. And I don't mean to just say that like that, but of course you want to go, you want to give your due diligence and work to the best of your ability, but you have to keep in mind that the establishment is worried about the establishment. And oftentimes they don't really reach out to find out about the well-being of their employees. And this is a place that they really need to improve in, because that's why so many employees are not, as dedicated or as faithful as they would like for them to be. But that's what kind of friend Mariah was. If she could make it happen, she was going to make it happen. She was going to be there for you, regardless. Even if it put herself sometimes in a bind, she would still be there. Before I got into that bad place, I was actually doing well, and she came to my house for a party. She and Sharnice came. It would have been good to have her on here too, but I don't know exactly how to do a three-way. This is new. But
well, maybe that's a different podcast.
Yeah, maybe that's a different podcast. We'll have her to come on. But she and Sharnice had come. And actually, when Sharnice, she knows this, when me and Mariah, we were like peas in a pod. Those who are watching, listening, because this is just the audio one. Of course, I'm African American and Mariah's Caucasian, but we were so much alike. It was like unbelievable. Like, we had similar personalities. We were both of course we were strong-willed, but when we were younger, we were more nice and more timid. But as we grew up in the area that we grew up, we became a lot more tougher. We developed some different habits. We went into our own different routes. But when Mariah initially became friends with Sharnice, I was very angry about it. And Sharnice knows too. I was like, no, she's my best friend. She is my best friend. But she and Sharnice have a very, very close relationship, and she also has a goddaughter that Sharnice has birthed and mothered. But when they became friends, I was not very happy, because Mariah is a one-of-a-kind person. And so even because just having her, I was at work the other day, actually, probably a month or so ago, and there was another lady, and she had red hair, and we bumped into each other. And when she bumped into me, she laughed, and it almost reminded me of Mariah at that moment, just her laugh. And I know that sometimes God will send just a sign, just some form of,
yep, she's here with you.
Yep. And so that was good for me to hear that and to see that. And it's good for me to stay in touch with you, even though I'm no longer in Indiana. Only God knows when I will return and when I will be there, because I would love to be of a better support. But I'm definitely working on creating a foundation so that we can support you, because in the same sense that Mariah wanted you to make sure that I was okay, I want to make sure that you're okay on her behalf. And so that's what the first question was. And so we won't stay on extremely long. I don't know how long we've been on now. Oh, going on 30 minutes. So I guess my last question would be, I'll ask two more questions and then we'll end this one. But if you could give a word of encouragement to other mothers that are experiencing this, I know one thing that you said was, and not just mothers, fathers too, because I know of a father who is grieving from the passing away of his child. And you can't tell a person how to grieve. And like you said earlier, you said there was a friend that you had that tried to tell you, but it was, what she gave, the advice she gave you didn't per se work for you. So if you could just, the best of your ability, give some form of advice or encouragement to those that are listening that may also be experiencing this, I think that'll be very helpful.
I wish I had something profound to say.
That's okay.
And I've thought about this question a lot, and all I can talk from is my experience and just pray.
Yep.
It doesn't seem like you're getting help because you're so mirrored in this dark spot. You don't know how to see the light, but just pray and talk to your friends or your family. I've had a couple of friends that would just sit with me. Even if I couldn't speak, they just sat there. Find those friends. And believe me, if you lose a child, you will find out who your friends are real quick.
Yep.
people that I thought that I was closer to that just couldn't look at me. And I understand it. I don't hold it against them. They didn't know what to say or how to act. Yeah. So the easiest thing for them to do was to turn away. So I had like 4 of my girlfriends that it didn't matter what time of day or night I called them, they were available. It didn't matter what was going on in their life. They made time to be with me if I needed it, and if I needed to stay home, that was okay. Go outside, even if you can't leave your yard, go outside and sit on your porch. Stand by your front door, stick your head out the window. Don't stay in the house all the time because it gets too easy. You can't shut yourself off from everybody. And it's, for me, I'm a very introverted. I like to be at home.
Yeah.
I'm not a social person. So, excuse me. Because I had these friends that would say, let's go get something to eat. And I'd say, well, I'm not hungry. Well, let's just go out. I really don't want to leave the house. I don't think I can right now. And they were persistent in a loving way.
Yeah.
They didn't get angry with me.
Yeah.
They never gave up on me. And, I would go and sit in a restaurant and I'd go, we'd order our drinks or our food. I get my water with lemon and whatever you're going to eat. And I didn't have an appetite for a long time. And I would sit there and I'd go, okay, we've only been out 10, 15 minutes maybe at first. I can't people anymore. And they go, okay, not a problem. Pack up the food and take me home.
Yeah.
Reach out to people. Online is great because you don't have to see them. That's where I found a Christian grief group, and it's great. If I just want to read the other posts, that's fine because they're feeling what you're feeling. Really, that was it. Just pray and breathe. And even if it's one person, and I know you're tired of hearing, come out, come out, come out. You don't want to go out. You're hurting so bad. You don't want to get dressed. Go out in your sweats or your pajamas. Who cares?
Yeah.
But get outside with them and know that that person loves you enough. They're remembering with you. Because that was really hard for me to come to grips with, and I forget that sometimes. But don't by yourself. I mean, it's always going to hurt. It gets, I don't want to say less painful, but you kind of tuck it in that hole in your heart that happened when you found out what happened. Like, I could physically feel my soul ripping.
Yep.
But I try to remember that she would want me to be happy, that God's always carrying me. And that I have this great, great family and friends that love me and support me. So find that one person. There has to be one person in your life. It could be a stranger you walked past yesterday that said, I like your nail polish, or, hey, mister, those are cool shoes, or I like your jeans or your shirt. Hold on to that. Because that's God saying, I love you. Hang in there just a little longer. It's going to get a little bit easier.
And those of you who are listening, go ahead, Mama Tammy.
I'm sorry. The biggest thing I can tell you for the first 2 is you're going to live second by second. When people say, get through the day, it's too hard.
Yeah.
I questioned, how do you take the next breath? Because, thank God, your body involuntarily does that. That's what it took for me. Each breath, for the first year or two, that's how I got through, breath by breath. And then you just do.
And for those who are listening, she made a very valid point when she said, if someone compliments you or says something nice, this will be a good time for us to just keep in mind that we never know what someone is dealing with. We never know what somebody is going through. So let's try to be kind when we just see people in general. Looking past exterior, what we may see, just be kind in general. Because if they can take something as simple as, hey, I like your outfit, or hey, I like your nail polish, and hold on to that compliment, then that's powerful. And that's helping someone to cope. And you may not even realize God may be using you to speak a kind word or give a thoughtful gesture to somebody that's grieving, that's in the process of healing. So let's just keep in mind that we want to continue to be kind. And then also to you, Mama Tammy, it is a process. I know there's going to be a process. And so we want to support you in every way that we can. My grandmother is actually getting ready to turn 84 years old tomorrow. And yep. And one thing that she expressed to us the other day, we were watching a movie, and her son was taken by gun violence, her oldest son, when we were younger, and it affected the entire family. But you know what? The strange thing about it is that somehow they found in their heart to forgive the family that did it. I was young. I was so young, so I don't even know the backstory on everything. But to forgive the person that did it and the family that did it. And my grandma, she doesn't talk about it much, but she's 84 and she still cries about it sometimes. We were watching a movie and something came up, and when it came up, she said, turn it off. We couldn't even watch the movie because it was something in the movie that was a trigger for her. And so
I can understand that.
Yep, she's like, turn it off. She couldn't watch it. And so knowing how to support a person that's grieving is not coming into the situation like, I know the end all to be all. Like you said, some words we're saying they're in a better place, and we think that that's an appropriate term to use because that's what we've been taught to use. But just to say, I'm sorry for your loss, or I'm not for your loss, but I'm sorry for you. I'm here to support you in any way that I can. Like you said, some of your friends were supportive and love to get you out of the house, making sure that if you have a person in close proximity to you that is grieving, that you don't want them to go into a dark place. Because I know in dark places, that's where the enemy lies. He loves to have you in a dark place because that's the way that he can play off your emotions and off your mind. So to get them out of that dark place into a place of light, to kind of help them to walk through the process, you be the light. If you can't physically turn on the light or open the sunlight, you be that ray of sunshine. Allow God to use you to be that spokesperson, or to use your smile or your just some kind gesture to help to bring them out of that. And so I just want to thank you for coming on to support us. If people want to maybe send you a message of hope or encouragement, how can they contact you?
I guess through my email.
Okay.
And it's lowercase, sorry, just my name, Tammy Danford, 3223 @gmail.com.
Okay.
I hope it helps somebody. I truly do. I really feel like God maneuvered this. I don't know if I'm saying this all correctly. I think I kind of told you before. I was listening to a podcast and I was thinking to myself, I wonder if people would want to hear I feel like I have something to say, but I don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to get it out there, but I feel like I need to be on a podcast doing this. I wonder how I can do this. And I was at work and this was running through my head, and you got a hold of me within days.
Wow. I didn't know that. You told me that you felt God was telling you to do, but I didn't know that you were already thinking about it and you had already heard it. That was divine. That was divine.
I just feel like this was all supposed to happen, and don't be afraid to talk about it. Talk about your grief. You don't have to go on and blather and blather and blather. I talk about Mariah all the time.
Yeah.
Some people it turns off, and I feel like that's their loss.
Yeah.
Some people it hurts too deeply. I have 2 younger brothers. I'm the oldest of 3, and my brothers have a hard time talking about her. It's painful for them.
Yeah.
They can talk about her a little, and then they'll say, okay, I can't talk anymore. And I respect that because they have their own grieving process they have to deal with.
Yeah.
And you and so many, not so many, like 4 of Mariah's friends, I can't thank you enough, and your mom, for your love and support. You guys are always here. I may not see you physically, but you send me messages, you send me pictures, you ask how I am. And I truly and deeply appreciate that. It's nice to know that you guys always do it on my lowest days when I don't even say it's a low day.
Wow.
It just happens.
Wow. So what we're going to do for you, Mama Tammy, and we were actually talking about this, and you and I will connect afterwards, is because we have some things working. We're going to start a foundation for Mariah. I definitely want you to be over it, so you would have full reign over it. We'll definitely discuss this, but those of you who are listening who want to support this, it's going to be underneath Mama Tammy. We're going to set it all up professionally. So if you want to support it, we may have some t-shirts with a picture of Mariah. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it and see what we can do. If you want to support her, then we will definitely link that information in the website for the podcast, underneath this post within the next 30 days or so, because we want to definitely do it soon. And then you all will know that whatever proceeds that you send, it will go towards Mama Tammy and the family, because they're still grieving. The loss of Mariah hasn't even been 5 years now. And we're just thankful that you were able to come on, Mama Tammy, and be with us and be so transparent and be so open. And so I just pray abundance over you, and I pray that God fill in those places, and that he continues to empower you, to empower other women and men that are struggling in this area, that are in need of some form of light, that you can be that light that you once needed. And sometimes that sounds a little bit,
scary.
Yeah.
But big.
And big. It does sound big, but you definitely can do it. That same fire and that same strength that was inside of Mariah is on the inside of you. And even though Mariah was a lot more outgoing, I'm starting to see, like, now when we were younger, you didn't talk as much, but now you're starting to come out. So a little bit.
50, but I'm getting there.
You're getting there. She's like, hey, and you're just like a wave, hi. but you're getting there. So we're so proud of you, and we love you so much, myself and my family. You know that.
Too.
And so I'm going to edit this and get ready to post it. And you and I will connect. I don't know how your schedule is, but I will inbox you, and then we'll get this foundation started so that we can support other people that may be grieving a lost one. And then we can also support young girls that may be in relationships, domestic violence situations, because it's needed. A lot of them don't.
It is needed.
It's needed. Yep.
It's desperately needed. And I wish I could have done... I wish Mariah could have seen herself how I saw her and her friends saw her.
Yeah. Beautiful. And she had such long red hair. Oh my gosh.
She was beautiful inside and out. She was smart. She was funny. Like I said, she wasn't perfect. I don't want people to ever think that, but she was, like you said, just a force. I think God put so much in that tiny little body.
Yep.
It just had to explode out all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so I thank you, Mama Tammy. This will end our podcast.
Thank you.
We thank you guys for tuning in with us. Go ahead and stream. Share this with a person that you know that may be going through a grieving process. We pray that it helps them in their struggle, that they may know that they are not alone and that God has not forgotten them, and that we can also use prayers, Mommy Tammy has throughout the years, to move forward and pursue those things that God has for us. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I love you too.
Okay, well, I just ended the podcast, so I am so proud of you.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, my God.
Well, I feel like I was trying not to cry. I was hoping I didn't.
I almost did, too. It's very emotional, but I am so proud of you that you actually did it. And so I just believe that this is just the beginning for you, and there are other things that are going to come up. We definitely need to get together, because my mom already tried to start with the t-shirts, but I want all proceeds to go to you. So maybe we can figure out a way to get you signed up, so that you're at the forefront of it, and then myself and some of the other people can promote it, so that so she'll never be forgotten. So Mariah Jones will be a household name, and that
that would be great.
They'll never know her the way that, personally, like we did, but through just hearing about what we have to say, can have a glimpse of the light that she was, because she surely was a light. She was a light.
But she was a hurricane.
Yeah.
I always told her she was named appropriately. There is an old song, and it says, they call the wind Mariah, and it's about a tornado that comes through. And that was so her. She had all this energy, and she was just her, so big. There was just so much in her, and I would play it for her, and she would just giggle. That's about a storm. I'm like, but that's what you are. You're like a little 3-foot storm.
And so, do you think that she had like your personality, or your husband's, or she had like a mix, or was she just an original?
All of it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, she has my stubbornness and my no filter and my love for family, and she had her dad's attitude sometimes. Like, I don't care what you think, I'm doing this, and that's just what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And some of it was just her. I think it was just a mix. Like the old saying is, it takes a village to, raise a child. And they were very much around both sets of grandparents and cousins and aunts, and everybody helped watch the kids. So she's just a little bit of everybody and a dash of her.
Wow. We're just grateful to know coming to knowing who she was and have that experience with her. And now be able to spread it and allow other people to know who she was as well.
I don't think I would have been able to do this had I not finally come to terms with forgiving the people who did it. And it took me until about a month ago.
Really?
I just couldn't do it. And I wanted to. Like, I felt like I was forcing it.
Yeah.
And one day I wish I could remember what the sentence was. And it was just a simple, like, 5-word sentence. It really resonated with me, and I was like, all right, it's time to let it go.
Wow.
Just, like, you're telling me it's time, it's okay to go and forgive. It's okay to get rid of the anger and confusion, because I just truly do not understand being so upset over an argument that you take somebody's life.
Yep. Never.
That makes no sense to me. So, for me, forgiving them was just letting go of the question.
Yeah.
Like, I forgive them, and I'm very pro-gun. I'm not anti-gun. The gun didn't kill her. I mean, yes, it did, but it was because somebody thought to pick it up, point it, and pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And I can't even... I've just started to pray for him, which was also very hard for me, because what did he go through in his life that he thought this is a solution to every argument?
Yep.
If he took 2 people before her, then clearly he thinks this is just an okay thing if you're angry or upset or you didn't get your way or, whatever. I hope he finds some kind of peace in his life, that if he ever gets out again, that this is not the way he handles life.
Yeah, because it's a terrible way, because he's losing life as well. He's a young person, and he's physically still alive, but what kind of life is there to live behind bars, or to even, like you said, feel like you have the right to take someone else's life because you're angry? Like, no.
I can't imagine. And Jesse is the one we were talking about it previously in years, and it's just kind of sat with me. And he was like, Mom, you don't know what the kid was going through. And at the time I was very angry. It was still very new. And I said, I don't care what he was going through.
Yep.
I don't care what his life was like. And he said, well, he just lost his brother. I said, then he should know what it feels like. You don't take a life because you're mad one is gone. She had nothing to do with his brother losing his life.
Yeah.
So, it took me that time to process and go, I don't know how he was raised. I don't know what trauma he's had in his life that's affected him so horribly that he thinks this is the answer. And like you said in the beginning, he's going to have to stand before God someday and explain this. That is not a situation I would want to be in.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
How do you stand before God and go, well, I was just mad? Because he's forgiving, but you got to come up with something better than that.
Something better than that, because her life is valuable. Yep.
Yeah. And I said she was a child of God, and he'll pay.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely, you will.
So all I can do is pray for his soul, that God has mercy on him, because it's going to be bad.
That's true. That's it.
It took this long for me to get there. I hope that other people can get there.
It's okay, because you have gotten there, though. And some people never do. You said it's taking you this long, but just imagine a person that is just convinced that they're not.
Oh, my dad is so angry all the time, and it's just really not handling it well and making good decisions about it. And all I can do is pray for him and do the best I can to help him through each day.
Yeah.
And he's said some things that make me cringe, because I'm like, how can you say that? Don't talk about God that way. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And then I have to remember, don't be angry with him. He's so angry he can't see past the hurt and the pain.
Yeah.
So God knows his heart, and he knows that he's not really angry with him per se. He's angry about what happened. So just pray.
And he's not holding it against him either. God knows us better. He gets it. It's not like he's in a place that he doesn't get it, and then all we can do is continue to pray for his heart. And then God, he has a good way of, touching the hearts and healing him in that area that he needs to be healed in. Because there's a healing that needs to take place. That was his only daughter. Was that his only daughter?
Right. Yes.
It was his only daughter. And it's a difference between the boys. Yep, it's a difference between a boy and a girl. Not saying that either life is more valuable, but for a father, even with my children, their father.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was his princess.
Yep. And they don't think.
I'm not gonna say that she was never disciplined, but whatever she wanted, she got if he could make it happen.
Yep.
That was his princess. How are you? How are you? I mean, I just my kids have relationships, and she was my best friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I